What's up guys, MainManSWE here, hoping you're all doing awesome as always, and as you can hear my voice is not what it should be. I have a cold and it's just one of those things you gotta put up with when you're a parent. You're gonna get sick all the time, because when you take your kid out to meet other kids, they mingle by drooling on each other, farting on each other, and sharing bacteria basically, and then they get sick, you bring them home, and then it's basically countdown, 24 hours before mom and dad are sick as well, and it's just beautiful. But that's why I haven't posted videos in a few days, but now I'm gonna at least try and make something here. I wanted to talk a little bit about Akuma, because with the rise of Aizhani and prior to that Super Akuma, a lot of people, and when I say a lot of people, I mean a lot of people are saying or speculating that it's a very emotional reaction, saying that Akuma is overpowered. I've seen this a lot on Twitter. People will have it's always a clip, of Akuma destroying someone with one combo. Very famously, I think it was Super Akuma on Shikurin, Rage, 2 bars, landing jumping kick, on Shikurin's Jin, and then basically just destroying him with an enormous combo, and people were like, Akuma's damage is broken, the character is broken, why the hell is he in Tekken, I mean, to me the character isn't overpowered, and I think it's quite obviously so. I'm gonna come at this from different angles, but just looking back at, the character's been with us now in Tekken for 3 years, actually. He was released in, was it July of 2016? He was released on the arcade version of FR. And when he was released, he actually was overpowered. Without meter, he could actually death combo you, basically. But then they nerfed him, and now if you have meter, you can kill someone. But it's extremely technical to do so. But so, he's been with us for 3 years, and very famously, Street Fighter Akuma expert Punko played him. He had some success with the character, but not too much. And honestly, can you name me any notable Akuma players in tournament outside of Super Akuma the years following Punko's attempt at playing the character? You have Ricksta from the US, but then, yes, Super Akuma, the last year or so, has had a lot of success with the character. But other than that, can you really name anyone else? And why is this? Well, first off, I think a lot of people don't find any interest in playing Akuma due to his very gimmicky nature and playing a lot like a Street Fighter character. And I'm gonna get into this more, but the first point I'm going to make is the execution needed to play Akuma. He's easily one of the most execution heavy characters in the game. I think you could argue that he is the most execution heavy character in the game. FADC is no joke, especially if you want to do that in a tournament setting. And well, all of the fucking cross-up, Tatsu setups, all of the links he has, it's just all over the place when it comes to execution. It is extremely demanding, and again, if you want to do that in a tournament setting, the players you have that are going to be able to live up to that are very, very few. So, enormous execution requirements, and that's kind of a big deal. Very few players are going to be able to live up to that. So that limits Akuma's potential quite a bit. If it was easier to do the FADC links, he would be overpowered. But to me, it's just too hard. And the fact that some people are able to do that doesn't make the character overpowered. It's just that those players are exceptionally good. And then you have the fact that the character is very different to Tekken characters, They've really done a good job in keeping the Street Fighter aspect of Akuma with his jump, his neutral jump. No other character can do that. Not even Geese can jump like that. and the demon flip, his Tatsu cross-ups, he's invincible on frame 1 on his EX Shoryuken. The Tatsu cross-ups, his tech catches, his unseeable low into chains, a jumping kick into links, his teleport, you know, where he goes through everything, becomes invincible, his fireball, FADC, you know, he's so incredibly different to other characters. And then you combine this with the character not having a lot of tournament exposure, a lot of tournament players not taking him very seriously. I think that is what led to this impression of Akuma being overpowered, that I just think a lot of people were very unfamiliar with the matchup once there actually was a competent Akuma player there to use the character and take the character to his, you know, full potential or almost full potential. Super Akuma is an amazing player. He's incredible, but I think a lot of the players, even some of the best Koreans, were just very unfamiliar with the matchup. And you can see this difference in Super Akuma playing at the mix-up in France, you know, winning against Low High, Cherry Berry Mango, taking home the entire tournament, and Low High trying to play his Shaheen versus Akuma. But you could see the struggle and the difficulty of dealing with the Demon Flip, for example. But then, a few months later, Super Akuma goes against Low High again, and he plays Law, and you can immediately see that he has worked on the matchup, and suddenly he's shutting everything down. And a player that comes to mind is Finnish player Jopelix. Incredibly talented guy. He made it to 17th place at EVO. That's pretty damn good, you know, coming from Europe. It's not like European players are trash, but, you know, they aren't known, you know, to place high in tournaments. And he made it to 17th place with Claudio. Like, tremendous achievement. But did you know that over the course of the last 2 years, I think it is, he's played Super Akuma 4 or is it 5 times in tournaments. And Super Akuma has lost every single one of those encounters decisively. Jopelix, I talked to him a little bit at EVO, he is, I would say, an expert at the Akuma matchup. And he said to me that it's apparent to him that most of the Koreans don't really know the Akuma matchup. They've never really had to face a super strong Akuma player. And they're going to have to wisen up to that. So again, Super Akuma, who destroyed everyone at the mix-up, you have a player like Jopelix, who's a legit expert at the Akuma matchup, and Super Akuma can't really get around him. So, to me, it looks like Akuma hasn't had a lot of exposure on the competitive scene. I mean, it is objectively so. You know, you had Punko, Rixa, and then not really anyone else. And then suddenly you have Super Akuma and everyone's like, oh shit, Akuma is broken. No, it's just that a lot of people have no fucking clue how to deal with the character, because suddenly you have someone who's actually using Akuma the way it's supposed to be used. And it was just up to everyone to start analyzing the character. You know, because it's a completely different Akuma today compared to a few years ago when people were trying, you know, to understand the character. And it's like Nee himself said in that amazing King J interview from EVO that, I mean, suddenly Akuma players are doing combos we've never seen before, and they're actually very consistent with them. But I think all of those not really but very rule-breaking gimmicks I mentioned before, I think people just don't understand that Akuma is a little bit like Yoshimitsu, to be honest, in that if you tech roll when you're not supposed to tech roll, he kills you. It's a death combo. Well, okay, it's like Yoshimitsu, but the damage is 1,000,000 times higher. He's just very gimmicky, and a lot of people don't understand that. If you're gonna play against Akuma, it completely changes the way you play Tekken. Because he's not really a Tekken character. So people have to understand that. And I think as soon as people understand how to deal with that, it's gonna become much harder for Akuma players. But that's not to say he isn't very strong. He is, but he's not overpowered. And he is insanely damaging, but again, very, very few players, especially in tournament setting, are going to be able to do that. It is just extremely hard to do consistently. You can do it probably once in practice mode, but the players you see and, argue, or the players that make you argue that he's overpowered, they are able to do those combos, like 90%, and that's an enormous achievement, no matter the controller they are using. So, to me, I can't say the character is overpowered. I think it's a combination of the fact that people are too unfamiliar with Akuma, and I think people are taking him more seriously now that you see a lot of Akuma players emerge. And it is a very complicated and weird matchup. People have to figure that out. And also the fact that his execution demand is no joke. It's probably the most demanding execution in the game. Very few players are going to be able to do that. Very few. And of course now you have Avaishani bodying everyone with Akuma. But that is because Avaishani is an incredible Tekken player. He's a fucking god. Don't you think if a character was overpowered, wouldn't Rixa be bodying everyone? He's a super good player, but he's not winning all the tournaments, Or Punko, when he dabbled with the game. And Super Akuma was a fantastic player, but when you see him go against Jopolix, or Noroma from Japan, who's really good at facing Akuma with his jack, he has a super hard time, Super Akuma. So I think, due to Super Akuma beast moding a lot of people who are unfamiliar with the matchup, or doing these death combos, people are under the impression that Akuma is broken, but no. Super hard to do with those combos. The players that can do that consistently are very, very few, and people are unfamiliar with the matchup due to Akuma not really being present or represented enough. And that's just a fact. And again, Avaishani is a genius. He makes Akuma look overpowered, but the character is not. People just have to realize Akuma is a lot like Yoshimitsu, where it's a lot of stuff just feels rule breaking. And in my opinion, if you talk about Akuma being overpowered, where do you put Geese Howard? Geese Howard, to me, as strong as Akuma is, he's no Geese Howard, in my opinion. Geese is a much stronger and more reliable character. Also, enormous damage with less execution. That's a very big deal. And where Akuma feels very weird in Tekken, and really does his own thing, his Street Fighter thing. With Geese, you have a character that, Akuma has a deadly 50-50, his defensive tools are great, he has some counter hit potential, but a lot of rule-breaking weird shit with his cross-ups, tech catches, his power crush, FADC. But with Geese, you have a character that has a lot of the stuff Akuma has, but also has the Tekken fundamental tools and great lows. A down for 2 that is like, Jesus, it's good. His standing 4, his down for 1 series, like safe mid launcher in forward 1+2, and his 14 frame launcher in back 3-2. down 4 counter it. Like, you could talk about Geese stuff for a very long time. And if you look at, I mean, you argue that Akuma is overpowered, but look at Geese tournament track record, you know. Like, Akuma surely has done well lately, but he's no Geese Howard when it comes to tournament results. Like, Geese is... So, I just wanted to make this video because I've seen so much on Twitter, like, Akuma is overpowered, look at this combo. Again, you don't realize so few people can do that. Even Harada, you know, said, looked at that clip from Super Akuma and tweeted that. So, you see this once in a tournament where all the 1 in 1,000 things happen, you know, everything aligned correctly for him to be able to do that. He had 2 meters, he had rage, he got the hop kick, no, the jump into whiff, you know, into jump kick punish. Everything aligned perfectly, he got the wall. So seeing that once, you know, it doesn't mean, oh, cooldowns, doesn't mean the character is OP. So, and people write to me a lot, do you think Akuma is OP? Do you think Akuma is OP? No, I think Geese is a stronger character, and I think Avaisani is a goddamn genius. And I think a lot of people are bad at the Akuma matchup. So, hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a lovely day. Take care.